Alex opened his eyes slowly, feeling a strange warmth all around him. He blinked a few times, trying to understand where he was. The air smelled different, like metal and something sweet. He tried to sit up, but felt a bit dizzy. As he looked around, he realized he was in a small, bright room filled with odd sounds and lights. The walls shimmered in strange colors, and the ceiling was covered in glowing panels. Alex's heart began to race. He was not at home in his cozy bed anymore. Where was he? He took a deep breath and remembered how he had been playing in the park when everything went dark. It felt like a bad dream, but this was real. As he stood up, he noticed his hands were different too. They were clean and soft, but he was still wearing the same blue shirt and jeans from the day he disappeared. He looked around again, hoping to find something familiar, but everything was strange. Suddenly, a loud sound echoed in the room. Alex jumped, his heart pounding like a drum. The door at the other end of the room opened slowly, making a soft, whooshing noise. He felt a chill run down his spine as he saw shadows moving outside the doorway. A few moments later, 3 strange creatures walked in. They were tall and thin, with shiny skin that looked like it was made of silver. Their heads were big, and their eyes were large and round, filled with curiosity. Alex couldn't help but stare. They looked like nothing he had ever seen on Earth. "Where am I?" he whispered to himself, his voice shaking. He took a step back, unsure if these aliens were friendly. They didn't seem to notice him right away. Instead, they were busy looking at a small screen on the wall, pointing and talking in a language he couldn't understand. Alex watched them closely, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. His mind raced. How did he end up here? He remembered the stories his parents told him about aliens. He had always thought they were just fun tales. But now, standing in front of these creatures, it all felt very real. One of the aliens suddenly turned to Alex. Its large eyes blinked slowly, and it tilted its head as if trying to understand him. Alex felt a little braver. Maybe they wouldn't hurt him. He took a deep breath and said, hello? The alien stared at him for a moment, then started making strange sounds. It didn't sound like words, but more like a series of beeps and whistles. Alex frowned, confused. He didn't know what to say. He looked around for a way to escape, but the room had no windows, only the glowing walls. Feeling trapped, he sank back onto the floor. What should I do? Alex thought. He needed to think fast. He couldn't let fear take over. He remembered his dad's advice, stay calm and think. As he sat there, he decided to observe the aliens more closely. They were moving around, pressing buttons on their control panel and pointing at the screen. They seemed focused on their task, not paying much attention to him. Alex felt a spark of hope. If he could figure out what they were doing, maybe he could find a way to escape. He started to notice small details, their shiny skin, their long fingers, and how they communicated with each other using gestures. Suddenly, one alien turned its gaze back to Alex. It stepped closer, and Alex held his breath. Would it try to grab him? But instead, the alien just looked at him, its expression softening. Alex saw something in its eyes, a glimmer of curiosity, like it wanted to know more about him. Maybe this alien wasn't dangerous after all. Feeling a little braver, he decided to stand up again. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice a bit steadier this time. The alien blinked again, tilting its head once more. It seemed to be trying to understand him, too. In that strange room, under the bright lights, Alex knew one thing for sure: he had to find a way back home. But first, he needed to learn about these aliens and what they wanted from him. As Alex stood in the strange room, he felt both scared and curious. The 3 aliens moved around, their big eyes darting back and forth as they talked in their unusual language. Alex watched them closely, trying to understand what they were saying. Their voices were soft and smooth, like a gentle breeze blowing through the trees. One of the aliens, taller than the others, seemed to be the leader. Its shiny skin glimmered in the light, and it had a strange pattern on its forehead that looked like swirling lines. This alien turned towards Alex and pointed at him, its eyes wide with wonder. Alex felt a rush of excitement. Did this alien find him interesting? The leader made a series of sounds, mixing beeps and whistles with a low hum. Alex couldn't make sense of the words, but he felt a strange connection with the creature. It didn't seem angry or threatening. It looked more like it wanted to learn about him. Slowly, Alex took a step forward. "I'm Alex," he said, trying to sound brave. "Who are you?" The aliens paused, their eyes focused on him. The leader tilted its head, and for a moment there was silence. Alex held his breath, waiting for a response. After a moment, the leader pointed to itself and made a soft sound. It sounded like Xylo. Alex smiled, feeling relieved. At least now he knew one name. The other two aliens looked at each other, then one pointed at the other and made another sound. Tika, the last alien, who was shorter with bright purple markings on its arms, stepped forward and waved its hand. Nolo, it chirped happily. Alex felt a wave of joy at this little introduction. Xylo, Tika, Nolo, Alex repeated, trying to remember their names. Nice to meet you. The aliens seemed pleased. Xylo pointed to the control panel again, making more sounds. This time, Alex noticed that Tika had a small device in its hand. It looked like a tiny computer glowing softly. Tika pressed a few buttons, and the screen lit up with images. Alex leaned closer, intrigued. The images showed different planets, stars, and even strange creatures that looked like the aliens. "Is this where you come from?" Alex asked, pointing at one of the planets. Xylo nodded enthusiastically and made a series of excited sounds. Tika turned the screen towards Alex and pressed another button. A picture of Earth appeared. Alex's heart raced. "That's my home!" he exclaimed. The aliens stared at the screen, their eyes wide with curiosity. Xylo pointed at the image of Earth, then back at Alex, trying to understand. Alex smiled, feeling a bit more confident. "Yes, I'm from there. I was playing in the park when you took me." Nolo made a sound that resembled laughter, a high-pitched giggle that echoed in the room. Alex couldn't help but smile back. It felt nice to have some kind of connection, even if they were so different. As the aliens continued to explore the images, Alex realized he had a chance to learn more about them, too. "What are you doing here?" he asked, looking at each alien. Xylo paused, tilting its head, as if trying to find the right words. After a moment, Tika pressed a button on the device again, and a new picture appeared. It showed a spaceship flying through the stars. Alex watched in awe as the aliens explained their mission. They were explorers, searching for new life in the universe. They had thought Alex was a rare creature from another planet. "Explorers," Alex repeated, feeling excited. "Just like in the movies!" Xylo seemed to understand, nodding eagerly. It pointed to the stars outside the ship, making a gesture that looked like a journey. Alex felt a thrill. He was in an alien ship, and these creatures were explorers. Alex suddenly realized that they were all curious about each other. Maybe they could learn from one another. "Can you show me more?" he asked, his eyes shining with excitement. Nolo jumped up and down, clapping its hands, while Xylo nodded eagerly. Tika pressed more buttons, and the screen changed again, showing different worlds and alien creatures. In that moment, Alex felt a little less scared. He had friends, even if they were very different. Together, they were ready to explore the unknown. Alex felt a mix of excitement and fear as he stood with Xylo, Tika, and Nolo in the bright room. The glowing screen in front of them showed strange planets and amazing creatures, but his mind was racing with another thought. How could he escape this alien ship? While the aliens were busy discussing their mission, Alex started to think carefully. He knew he had to come up with a smart plan. He looked around the room, taking in everything he could see. The walls were shiny, but they had buttons and panels that seemed important. There had to be a way out. As he watched the aliens, Alex noticed something interesting. Xylo was pointing to different images on the screen, talking excitedly about the planets. Tika was focused on the control panel, pressing buttons and making noises. Nolo was bouncing around, its eyes sparkling with energy. Suddenly, an idea sparked in Alex's mind. What if he could use the aliens' curiosity to his advantage? They were fascinated by him, and maybe he could turn that curiosity into a way to escape. Alex decided to approach Xylo first. "Hey, Xylo," he said, his voice steady. "Can you show me how this control panel works?" Xylo's eyes lit up with excitement. It pointed to the buttons and made a series of beeps, clearly happy to explain. Alex leaned closer, pretending to be very interested. The alien pressed a few buttons and the screen changed to show a map of the ship. "Wow! This is amazing!" Alex exclaimed. "Can you take me to see the whole ship?" Xylo nodded eagerly, excited to share. Nolo jumped up and down, clapping its hands. Tika looked at Alex, curious about his enthusiasm. "Let's go!" Alex said, trying to sound as excited as he could. He was ready to explore, but deep down he was plotting his escape. The aliens led Alex through a narrow hallway filled with strange lights. As they walked, Alex tried to memorize every detail. He noticed a door at the end of the hall that looked different from the others. It had a big, round window, and through it, he could see stars twinkling in the darkness of space. This must be the way out, Alex thought, his heart racing. He knew he needed to find a way to get there without raising suspicion. As they continued walking, Alex asked more questions about the ship. "What do you do here? How do you travel through space?" The aliens responded with excitement, explaining their exploration missions and how they searched for new life forms. The more they talked, the more relaxed Alex became. He realized they were just like him, wanting to learn and explore. But he still needed to find a way to escape. When they reached a room filled with strange devices and tools, Alex saw his chance. "Can I help you with something?" he asked, looking at the messy table full of gadgets. Tika tilted its head, intrigued. "Help?" It echoed, confused but curious. "Yes, I can help you fix things," Alex said, pointing to a device that looked like it was falling apart. "I'm good at fixing stuff on Earth." "I have ideas." The aliens looked at each other, and then Xylo nodded. "Help," it said, sounding pleased. As Alex started to fiddle with the device, he kept one eye on the door with the round window. He knew this was the perfect moment to gather information. While he pretended to work, he also listened carefully to what the aliens were saying about their systems and controls. Time passed, and Alex grew more confident. He learned that the control room was not far from where they were. He glanced at the door again, making a mental note of how to reach it. After a while, Alex stopped working on the device and turned to the aliens. "Can I see the control room now?" he asked, trying to sound eager. "I really want to learn how you navigate through space." Xylo, still excited, nodded and led the way. Alex's heart raced as they approached the control room. He was so close. As they entered the room, Alex felt a mix of thrill and fear. The control panel was filled with buttons and screens. This was his moment. He needed to act fast. "Wow, look at all these buttons," he exclaimed, pretending to be amazed. "Can I try?" The aliens exchanged glances and Xylo stepped back, allowing Alex to approach the panel. Alex knew he had to be careful. This was his chance to escape from this alien ship and find his way back home. In the control room, Alex stood in front of the glowing panel, heart pounding. The aliens were watching him with wide eyes, eager to see what he would do. He felt the weight of their curiosity pressing on him. This was it. He had to work quickly and carefully. "Okay, I'm going to press this button," Alex said, trying to sound confident. He reached out and pressed a bright green button that glowed invitingly. The room lit up and a soft humming sound filled the air. The aliens gasped in surprise, their eyes sparkling with excitement. "Good!" Xylo said, clapping its hands. "More!" Encouraged, Alex scanned the panel, trying to remember what he had learned during his time on the ship. "What does this one do?" he asked, pointing to a red button. "No!" Tika shouted, waving its hands frantically. Alex's heart sank for a moment. Did he make a mistake? But then Xylo stepped forward, nodding. "Safe!" Xylo said, pointing to the button with a smile. Alex took a deep breath, feeling a mix of fear and determination. He pressed the red button gently, and suddenly the ship began to shake. Alarms blared, flashing lights filled the room, and the screen showed a map with a blinking red dot. "What's happening?" Alex shouted over the noise, his heart racing. "Problem!" Nolo cried, bouncing nervously on its feet. Xylo quickly tapped the screen, trying to calm the alarms. "Engines!" it said, pointing to the red dot. Alex realized the dot represented the engine room. They needed to fix it fast. "Let's go!" Alex shouted, ready to take action. The aliens nodded, following his lead. They rushed out of the control room, making their way through the narrow hallways of the ship. As they ran, Alex tried to think of a plan. "We need to work together," he said, glancing at Xylo, Tika, and Nolo. "If we can fix the engines, we might be able to get back to my home." "Teamwork," Tika exclaimed, clapping its hands. When they reached the engine room, Alex was shocked by what he saw. The engines were big and complex, with wires hanging everywhere. The lights flickered, and the air was filled with a buzzing sound. It looked like a puzzle, and they needed to solve it quickly. "Okay, what can we do?" Alex asked, feeling a rush of determination. Xylo pointed to a panel on the wall filled with blinking lights. "Fix!" it said, making a motion with its hands. "Right!" Alex agreed. "Tika, can you check those wires? Nolo, you help Xylo with the panel. I'll see what I can do here." The aliens quickly got to work, each focused on their task. Alex felt a surge of teamwork and energy as they all worked together. Tika carefully sorted the wires while Nolo and Xylo pressed buttons and flipped switches on the panel. Alex focused on a broken part of the engine. He had seen something like this before. "If I can just tighten this bolt," he muttered to himself. He grabbed a tool from a nearby table and got to work, twisting and turning with all his strength. The buzzing noise grew louder, and Alex could feel the ship shaking even more. He glanced back at Xylo and Tika, who were frantically pressing buttons and watching the lights. "How's it going over there?" he shouted. "Almost," Xylo replied, its eyes wide with concentration. "Keep going." With one last twist, Alex tightened the bolt, and suddenly the shaking stopped. The alarms went silent, and the lights turned from red to green. Alex felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Did we do it?" he asked, breathless. "Success!" Nolo cheered, jumping up and down. The screen lit up with a new map, showing a clear path back to Earth. Alex's heart soared. They had fixed the engines together. "Now we can go home!" he shouted, filled with joy. The aliens cheered, their voices mixing with his excitement. But then Alex paused, realizing something important. "Wait, we should make sure you're safe too," he said, looking at his new friends. "I don't want to leave you behind." Xylo smiled and nodded. "Friends," it said. They all agreed to work together to make sure the ship could safely return to Earth. With new determination, they began pressing buttons and adjusting controls, preparing for the journey home. As they worked, Alex felt a deep bond forming between them. They were not just aliens and a human, they were a team. Together they had faced danger, solved problems, and now they would return home as friends. As the ship's engines roared to life, Alex felt a rush of hope. He and his alien friends had worked together, and now they were on their way back to Earth. But just as he thought everything was finally okay, the ship suddenly shook violently. Alarms blared again, echoing through the corridors. "What's happening?" Alex shouted, his heart racing. Xylo quickly tapped the control panel, its eyes wide with fear. "Not good! Enemies! Attack!" "Enemies?" Alex asked, panic rising in his chest. "Who are they?" "Bad aliens!" Tika said, bouncing nervously. "They want to catch us!" Alex's mind raced. They had to escape, and fast. "We need to run!" he yelled. Without waiting for a response, he dashed out of the control room with Xylo, Tika, and Nolo right behind him. They hurried through the narrow hallways, dodging flashing lights and loud alarms. The ship felt alive with chaos. "Where do we go?" Nolo shouted, its voice filled with fear. "Follow me!" Alex replied, trying to stay calm. He remembered seeing a door leading to the escape pods earlier. If they could get there, they might have a chance to escape the ship. As they ran, Alex heard loud footsteps behind them. "They're coming!" he cried. He glanced back to see shadowy figures moving quickly down the hallway. The bad aliens were closing in. "Faster!" Tika yelled, its eyes wide with fear. They turned a corner, and Alex saw the door he was looking for. "There! That's it!" he shouted, pointing to the escape pod room. They burst through the door, and Alex quickly scanned the room. It was filled with small, round pods, each one with a glowing screen. He felt a flicker of hope. "We need to get inside one of these," he said. "Quickly!" Xylo urged, its voice trembling. They rushed to the nearest pod. Alex jumped inside and pressed a few buttons, trying to figure out how to launch it. "I hope this works," he muttered. The screen lit up with numbers, and he saw a countdown begin. "Come on! Get in!" he shouted to his friends. Xylo and Nolo jumped into another pod, while Tika climbed into the one next to Alex. "Ready?" Tika asked, its voice shaky. "Not really, but we don't have time," Alex replied. The countdown continued, and he could hear the footsteps of the bad aliens getting closer. Suddenly, the door to the room burst open. A group of angry aliens charged in, their eyes filled with rage. Alex's heart dropped. "Hurry!" he yelled, hitting the launch button. The pods shook as they prepared to launch. The angry aliens shouted, but it was too late. With a loud whoosh, the pods shot out into space, leaving the ship behind. Alex felt weightless as the pod flew through the stars. He glanced at Tika, who looked scared but relieved. "Are we safe?" it asked, its eyes wide. "I think so," Alex said, breathing heavily. "But we need to make sure we don't get caught again." He turned to the screen in front of him. The map showed their escape route, but there were still dark patches nearby. "We have to get to Earth fast," he said, feeling a sense of urgency. "Enemies might follow us," Xylo warned from its pod. Alex nodded. "We have to find a way to hide. Let's look for a planet nearby where we can land. He quickly pressed buttons on the screen, scanning for nearby planets. The screen showed several options, but one caught his eye. There! That one looks safe. Let's go there! Nolo shouted. With determination, Alex plotted a course for the planet. The pods zoomed through space, but he could still hear the faint sounds of alarms and angry voices from the alien ship. They had to stay ahead of their pursuers. As they approached the planet, Alex felt a mix of excitement and fear. "We're almost there! Get ready to land!" he yelled. The pods shook as they entered the planet's atmosphere, and Alex's heart raced with anticipation. Suddenly, the pods broke through the clouds, revealing a beautiful landscape below. Green forests and sparkling rivers stretched as far as the eye could see. It looked peaceful and safe. "Land there!" Tika pointed, its voice filled with hope. Alex focused on the controls, guiding the pod down toward the lush ground. They were close to escaping their enemies. As the pod landed with a soft thud, Alex felt a wave of relief wash over him. They had made it, but the adventure was far from over. They still had to figure out how to survive on this strange new planet and avoid the aliens that wanted to catch them. "Let's get out and explore," he said, determination burning in his eyes. Together, they stepped out of the pod, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the four friends stepped out of the escape pod, Alex looked around at the strange, new planet. The air was fresh, and the sky was a beautiful shade of blue. Tall trees surrounded them, their leaves shimmering in the sunlight. Flowers of every color bloomed at their feet, and birds chirped happily overhead. It felt like a perfect place to rest, but Alex knew they were not safe yet. "Where are we?" Tika asked, its eyes wide with wonder. "I don't know," Alex replied, scanning their surroundings. "But we need to find a place to hide. The bad aliens might still be looking for us." Xylo nodded, its large eyes serious. "Hide! Good idea. Let's move!" Nolo said, its voice filled with urgency. They walked deeper into the forest, staying quiet as they searched for a safe spot. The trees stood tall and thick, creating a natural barrier around them. Alex felt a mix of excitement and fear. This new world was beautiful, but danger was still nearby. After a while, they found a small cave hidden behind some bushes. "This looks like a good place," Alex said, peering inside. The cave was dark, but seemed safe. "Let's go in!" Tika urged, stepping inside. They settled in the cave, catching their breath after the long journey. The air was cool and refreshing. Alex could hear the sounds of the forest outside, rustling leaves and chirping birds. For a moment, it felt peaceful. But as they sat in the cave, Alex felt a weight in his heart. He had to make a decision. They were on a new planet, far from home, and he had no idea how to get back to Earth. "We can't stay here forever," he said finally, breaking the silence. "We need to find a way home, but we can't do it if the bad aliens find us." Xylo looked worried. "But how do we go back?" "The ship is gone!" Alex sighed, running his fingers through his hair. "I know, but we have to figure it out. We need help." "What if we make friends with the creatures here?" Tika suggested, its voice hopeful. "Maybe they can help us." "That's a good idea," Nolo chimed in. "But what if they are dangerous?" "We won't know unless we try," Alex replied, feeling a spark of determination. "But we have to be careful. We can't let our guard down." They all agreed. It was time to explore the new planet and look for allies. But as they prepared to leave the cave, Alex faced another problem. What if they found a way to return to Earth but had to leave their new friends behind? As they stepped outside, Alex couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty. He glanced back at the cave, feeling torn between two worlds. The thought of leaving Tika, Xylo, and Nolo behind was unbearable. "We can't forget what we've been through together," he said, turning to his friends. "Whatever happens, we stick together. We're a team now." "Team!" Xylo agreed, raising its arms in the air. Alex smiled, feeling a wave of reassurance. They were in this together, no matter what. They moved cautiously through the forest, keeping an eye out for any creatures that might appear. The vibrant colors of the flowers and the sounds of the birds filled the air, making it hard to focus. But Alex knew they had to stay alert. Suddenly, they heard a rustling sound in the bushes nearby. Alex's heart raced. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. "Yes," Tika replied, its voice shaky. "What if it's an enemy?" "Stay behind me," Alex said, ready to protect his friends. He took a deep breath and stepped toward the sound. To his surprise, a small creature emerged from the bushes. It was furry and had bright, curious eyes. It looked at them with interest, tilting its head. "See? It's not an enemy!" Nolo exclaimed, relief flooding its voice. Alex knelt down slowly, trying to appear friendly. "Hello," he said softly. "We mean no harm. We're just trying to find our way home." The creature sniffed the air, its nose twitching. Then, to Alex's amazement, it made a chirping sound and approached him. "Look! It likes us!" Tika said, clapping its hands. Alex smiled, feeling a flicker of hope. "Maybe this little one can help us." The creature circled around Alex, then darted off a few feet before looking back, as if urging them to follow. "Should we?" Alex asked, glancing at his friends. "This could be our chance." Xylo nodded eagerly. "Yes, follow!" With a shared look of determination, they decided to follow the creature, hoping it would lead them to allies or a way to return home. As they walked, Alex felt a mix of excitement and fear. This planet was full of surprises, and he knew they had to be ready for anything. But together, they could face whatever came their way.